NBC 5 Chicago. Now, live. This is the NBC 5 News at 10.
A winter chill taking hold on Chicago tonight, and if you think this is bad, just look at the alternative. This is what we missed. An early winter blast that dumped more than 2 feet of snow in the Great Lakes region, and it's not over yet. Another nearly couple of feet could be on the way. Good evening, I'm Ron Majors.
And I'm Carol Marine. Why are we missing this early winter blast? Andy Avalos is standing by in the Weather Center to explain. But first, other cities are getting ready for a pounding. Here's NBC5's Robin George. Robin?
Well, Carol, Ohio residents have been digging out for 2 days now, and tomorrow they'll likely be shoveling some more.
I worked all weekend trying to get these sidewalks done, and it didn't even look like I did anything this.
The snow started falling Saturday, and it hasn't stopped. This was Cleveland around 5:30 tonight. Now look, Cleveland a couple of hours later. Already there's 2.5 feet on the ground, and another 20 inches is possible overnight.
I feel like moving south. My childhood days in Texas don't seem so bad in spite of the heat after all.
Not even 2 weeks past Halloween, it looks like Christmas in some of the Great Lakes states, including Michigan and parts of New York. The early winter storm has left tens of thousands of people without power. A portable generator is this Ohio resident's only source of power.
We're using the generator to power our furnace and our refrigerator, and we have a couple of the neighbors hooked up. It's been really cold.
It's called lake effect. The snow is wet and heavy. Power lines and trees can't hold up its weight. Neither can this awning.
The awning pulled right out of the brickwork on the front of the structure due to the weight of this heavy, wet snow.
People who live in the Great Lakes region are used to snow and ice, just not this early in the year. At least 8 deaths are blamed on the storm, most of them traffic-related. And tonight, a Delta airliner slid off the runway at Hopkins International Airport in Cleveland. There are no immediate reports of any injuries. The plane was apparently landing when it slid off the runway, the second such incident in 2 days. Back to you, Ron.
Well, Robin, those cities are referring to this as the big blast. For us, it really has turned out to be the big miss, and the question is why? Andy's here for a first look at the weather. Andy?
Oh, Ron, it may seem kind of cruel, but better them than us. And really, but for a few degrees in the winds, that snow could be here. This is all lake effect. This is not the classic storm that we think of that normally pounds the Midwest in the winter. This has everything to do with cold air traveling over the relatively warm waters of Lake Michigan with a west to northwest wind depositing some fairly heavy amounts of snow at times on the other side of the lake. That's why we've been spared with a northwest wind. But all you have to do is shift those winds around to the northeast, create those significant lake effect snows on our side of the lake. So really all this has turned out to be is a wind shift problem. And for now, the snows will stay there and not here. Ron?
Thanks, Andy. Residents of Chicago's ABLA homes, the Chicago Housing Authority homes, can stay warm tonight. Their electric service was restored about 8:30 this evening. A short in a cable cut power to them yesterday. During the blackout, stove burners and steam from hot water were used to keep warm. Residents were able to use the cold weather to at least keep their food from spoiling.
We put it on the doorway here and shut the door, lock it from the inside, and we lock the screen door.
Other residents even use their cars as temporary refrigerators.
Joseph Cardinal Bernardin's condition is worsening, according to officials of the Archdiocese. From his home, however, the Cardinal is seeing to it that the issues he deems important are being addressed. We have 2 reports tonight, beginning with Marianne Ahern live tonight at Holy Name Cathedral. Marianne?
Carol, he is no longer giving interviews. However, Cardinal Bernardin is delivering messages. Tomorrow, a very personal letter from a dying cardinal will be delivered to the U.S. Supreme Court. Joseph Cardinal Bernardin's work is being carried out from his home on North State Parkway. The cardinal writes, quote, "I am at the end of my earthly life," in a letter to the U.S. Supreme Court as he voices opposition to physician-assisted suicides. Bernardin says, quote, "There can be no legal and moral order which tolerates the killing of innocent human life." His message comes at a time when Bishop Raymond Gettert, who has taken over running the Archdiocese's day-to-day activities, reports Cardinal Bernardin is, quote, "suffering physically, mentally, he is perfectly clear." Bishop Gettert goes on to tell the New World, the Archdiocese Weekly, the Cardinal is suffering from increased pain, suppressed breathing, and a unique type of fatigue. The Cardinal's health prevented him from attending the National Bishops' Conference. This is a group where he has shown great influence. NBC5's Dick Kay has more from Washington.
Those often mentioned as the next Archbishop of Chicago are all attending the National Conference of Catholic Bishops in Washington. Among them, the president of the conference, Bishop Anthony Pilla of Cleveland, who says Cardinal Bernardin fostered an openness in the church.
Matters of religious import are not
most, mixing with the masses.
And when Cardinal Bernardin spoke of his family, he usually meant all of the people of Chicago. And while his duties often took him into high-powered circles, nothing pleased him more than the chance to carry out the duties of a priest. NBC5's Charlie Wojciechowski is here now with a classic example. Charlie?
Allison, it's an example of Tom and Laura Toussaint, and one they say they will always remember. A simple wedding celebrated by a prince of the church, but a prince, they say, with a very human side. Tom Toussaint met Joseph Cardinal Bernardin, working as a reporter for the weekly diocesan newspaper. Then he met Laura. He asked the cardinal to marry them, even before he asked for her hand. This was the scene 1 year later.
On the day of the wedding, came back and just kind of sat and talked with me for a minute before the wedding and really comforted me. And I heard the news, and it's like I wanted to go over and sit with him and try and comfort him.
Tom and Laura didn't know of the cardinal's cancer until after they came back from their honeymoon.
Just generated 20,000 more new emotions of just, you know, how could this happen? It did seem like he had a lot of things that he hadn't finished yet.
In May of 1995, when Tom and Laura were married here at Our Lady of the Wayside Church, Tom's position at the diocese had just been eliminated. So the cardinal was no longer his boss, only his friend.
He handled it with such grace and such poise. It's an awkward situation when there's not enough money and you have to let people go.
But it is the human side of the cardinal the Toussaints will always remember.
Well, as we're progressing through the Mass, we get to the Sign of Peace. He completely skipped the Sign of Peace. He totally forgot. He wound up apologizing to me kind of quietly afterwards. I totally forgot the Lamb of God, didn't I? I said, Cardinal, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. We're still married, I think.
Tom and Laura are still happily married and now expecting their first child. Laura's a nurse who deals with cancer patients on a daily basis, and she says she's better able to deal with them because of the way Cardinal Bernardin handled his illness. Allison and Mark?
Nice to see even the big guys can make a mistake every once in a while.
Thanks, Charlie. That will do it for the NBC5 News at 4:30.
NBC5 News at 5 starts right now.
Alice and Mark, next at 5 o'clock, the Cardinal reached women, men, children of different faiths. We hear stories of how he lived in the hearts of many and how they are honoring Bernardin today in different cultures. Also, a Chicago couple who owes one of the Cardinal's favorite restaurants, they reflect on the good times. Plus, a special look at the Bernardin family. All that next at 5 o'clock.
The news of the Cardinal's death came just past 2:30 this morning at his home. And as daylight began to dawn, passers-by began to leave memorials.
He is such a spiritual man. I love him.
He was the one shining example.
Well, he'll be greatly missed and hard to replace.
For the people he called his family, his final weeks became an example and his final sermon. Good evening, I'm Joan Esposito.
And I'm Warner Saunders. Cardinal Bernardin once called all of us his family. But for the Cardinal's immediate family, his mother and sister, his death is an immeasurable loss. His sister was with the Cardinal when he died at his residence. NBC5's John Mason joins us now from his home with more on the Cardinal's family. John.
And Warner, his sister, Elaine Addison, is here right now here at the Cardinal's residence. She's staying here along with the rest of us, planning for the Cardinal's funeral next week. November 14th will be a date marked now in Chicago in history, marked by the passing of a beloved Cardinal. But November 14th is a date that has amazing significance for the Bernardin family. November 14th will be remembered as the day of Cardinal Bernardin's death, but this is a day the Cardinal's family already held close. The Cardinal's mother, Maria, was born on November 14th, 1904. She's 92 today. The Cardinal's father died of cancer on this date in 1934. The Cardinal now joins him in death, a date that bonds an already tight family. The Cardinal's sister Elaine saw his body to the hearse early today. The Cardinal's mother lives just blocks away from the Cardinal's mansion in a home cared for by the Little Sisters of the Poor.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, darling.
I was wondering where you were.
Bernardin was a frequent visitor. Cardinal Bernardin established such close ties here because he was here so often to visit his mother that the staff who takes care of Mrs. Bernardin feels as if they've lost a member of their family. Friends and family celebrated Maria Bernardin's birthday today with a private mass. The Cardinal's sister left the Cardinal's mansion with wrapped birthday presents this afternoon. It is a day in ordinary times the Cardinal would have reveled in. About an hour and 15 minutes ago, Elaine Addison, the Cardinal's sister, returned here to the Cardinal's residence from visiting her mother, from celebrating Maria Bernardin's 92nd birthday. As of early this afternoon, we were told by officials at Little Sisters of the Poor, the nuns who take care of Maria Bernardin, that the Cardinal's mother had not been informed that her son had passed away, just as she had not been even informed that he had terminal cancer. That according to the Cardinal's wishes, and we have no indication at this point in time this evening that Maria Bernardin, who's 92 years old, and some days are better than others for her, whether she knows whether the Cardinal has indeed passed away. Reporting live from the Cardinal's residence, John Mason, NBC 5 News.
Cardinal Bernardin included in his family people all over the world, and his bond with the archdiocesan staff was very special. Members of his staff say they couldn't have asked for a better boss.
He was a very kind man and very strong and a great leader, great inspiration to us all.
Oh, what a gentleman, fair man. But it's just been a wonderful experience for me to work with him.
Parishes in all of Chicagoland's diverse neighborhoods and suburbs are mourning the loss of Bernardin. NBC 5's Derek Blakely joins us from St. Agatha's on Chicago's west side with more. Derek?
Joan and Warner, this daily 5 o'clock Mass that's about to get underway inside St. Agatha's Convent is intended for a small prayer group that regularly meets here. But a few more people are going to be attending tonight in wake of the Cardinal's death. It gives them a convenient place to express their grief and also to offer their prayers. Now, earlier today, we visited several parishes on Chicago's southwest side, and there, too, it's readily evident that this is an archdiocese in mourning. Outside St. Gill's School on South Kedzie, a flag at half-staff, a secular sign of mourning over the death of a religious man. And outside the church itself, a more literal sign, "May our brother rest in peace." Not bishop, brother.
He wasn't a figure on the pedestal. He was one of the people. He allowed the people to come close. He shared his emotions.
And today at 5 Holy Martyrs, the people remembered, offering prayers at the regular morning Mass and offering tears as well.
I cried this morning. I was saying my rosary. But I saw it on TV, the sad news about Cardinal Bernardin passing away. It really hurt me very much.
He was a good Italian cardinal for 5 Holy Martyrs Polish Church. We're very proud of him. He cared about us Poles.
5 Holy Martyrs is known as a pillar of Chicago's Southside Polish community. Pope John Paul II visited here during his historic Chicago tour. But the parish and school are now much more ethnically diverse. Students who apparently learned well the lessons about death Cardinal Bernardin had hoped to teach.
He helped people to have faith in God and not be afraid of when they die. He wanted to teach us that God's with you and that nothing bad could happen, and you have to believe in him.
Back live once again. Now, we're told a number of parishes have scheduled masses tonight, special services, to give people a chance to reflect on the loss of Joseph Cardinal Bernardin. And also, even more parishes will be open tonight for those who simply want to drop in and offer their prayers for Cardinal Bernardin. However, plans vary widely from parish to parish, and it's probably wise to call your local parish to find out what their plans are. Reporting live from Chicago's west side, I'm Derek Blakely, NBC 5 News.
Derek, throughout the day, there have been many poignant pictures, many memorable moments. Perhaps one of the most solemn was when we saw the hearse, a symbol of death itself, driving away from the Cardinal's earthly home. Few mourners were there so early in the morning. It was those who were with the Cardinal in his final moments who stood outside in the cold and waited until the hearse drove out of sight.
The Cardinal made his last public appearance just 2 weeks ago in Maywood. He was at Loyola University Medical Center, where the hospital renamed the Cancer Treatment Center in his honor. He was weak, but with the aid of a cane, he walked with a smile. It was October 29th. It was his last public appearance. It was at Loyola where the Cardinal received his cancer treatments, and he made an impact on other patients. NBC5's Nisita Kwan joins us from Loyola with that story. Nisita?
Joan, today, 2 weeks after these people honored the Cardinal in life by naming the center after him, they honored him in his death.
The sadness these mourners feel at his death is matched by the delight they felt in his life. Mark Geraci, pharmacy manager at the Cardinal Bernardin Cancer Center.
He was such a holy person, and I'd never been that close to a holy person. And he was so gentle with all the patients.
Geraci was assigned the task of escorting the Cardinal every time he came in for treatment.
He walked through and saw every single person that came up to him, stopped, he talked to them, he prayed with people, he prayed over people.
Right in the lobby?
Right in the lobby as he was walking back to get his treatment.
And of those many, many cancer survivors the Cardinal talked to, Patricia Kruger, he called her as she lay in the hospital bed the day after her bone marrow transplant.
He said, well, I just wanted to let you know that I'm praying for you and that your faith is very important and that it will get you through all these moments. And you're in awe that he has taken the time, that you really can't remember everything. I wish I could have taped it.
They are two of the dozens and dozens of patients and doctors and nurses the Cardinal touched here, people who are at this service because they mourn his passing and because they want to remember how this man's words, his actions, and the way he lived his life left them each with a lesson.
At a place like this cancer center, people deal with death every day, every hour. What they struggle to find is hope, and that's what they say the Cardinal offered